Maurice Nicole's Psychological Commentary, Volume 2, based on his work with Gurdjieff. Birdlip, January 13th, 1945, The Doctrine of Eyes. Let us return to the fundamental teaching of the work and take as an example of the doctrine of eyes. How many eyes have we got in us? Ouspensky was once asked. Have we 20 or 30? Ouspensky replied, we have hundreds of thousands of eyes in us only because of the action of buffers. We do not see them as distinct, but retain our belief that we have only one eye that always acts and feels in the same way. This is imaginary eye. It is this imagination that one has one eye, this imaginary eye, that prevents us from changing. On another occasion, he was asked whether eyes weren't imaginary, and he answered in so many words that eyes were real beings in us, real persons. But because we did not see them, we had the imagination of having real eye. The eyes are real, he said, but the imaginary eye is imaginary. Each eye is a small living person in oneself. Just as people are divided into number 1, number 2, and number 3 man, so these eyes in a person are similarly divided. Each eye has a thinking part, an emotional part, and a moving part, but its center of gravity may be more in the sphere of the thoughts or of the emotions or of the actions. Each eye is a distinct being that takes charge of us and speaks through our telephone, calling itself I. Some of the eyes are very harmful to us, some are indifferent, and some are useful. A question was asked recently as to whether all our thoughts came from different eyes. The answer was yes. But not only that, all your moods, all your feelings, your actions, your words come from different eyes in yourself as we are. We have no individuality, no real I, no big I that controls all the other eyes and arranges them in the right order. At first, this is more easy to observe eyes acting on your thoughts, giving you certain kinds of thoughts. You observe that you're thinking a certain way about someone. This is an I. This is thinking that you are taking yourself, or say that you're thinking about your life. This is again an I. You're taking it as yourself. When you do not see this trick that it is constantly playing on you, you take all these thoughts as you. You think, I'm thinking this, or you say, this is how I think. You do not see that something is thinking for you and that you're not thinking at all. You hear the thoughts of these eyes as if it were you who were thinking them. In fact, you think that you think. Now, better eyes can see worse eyes, but worse eyes cannot see better eyes. What is higher can see what is lower, but what is lower cannot see what is higher. When you begin your real observation of your thoughts, you can begin to see certain kinds of thoughts that you do not wish to accept, say, about other people or about yourself. Now, if you think that these thoughts are you, or if you say, I think this, then you make one of the greatest mistakes you can make in this work. You give these thoughts power over you because you identify with them. So you simply go with them without realizing what the work is continually teaching. That is, you must practice inner separation. If you take everything that happens in your sphere of your thoughts as I, then you cannot practice inner separation. Why? Because you take everything going on in your thoughts as yourself. How then can you separate if you take everything as yourself? Everything is I. How can I separate from I? Now, as regards the sphere of emotions, here again exist many I's in us that bring about changes in our emotional states. Just as eyes transmit thoughts into our minds, so do eyes transmit feelings into the sphere of our emotions. These eyes affect the emotional state directly and scarcely touch the thinking. Some of these eyes can exhaust us, make us lose confidence, make us depressed, low spirited, and so on. Yet they are eyes acting in us and nourishing themselves at our expense. If we could always remember ourselves, these eyes could not have any power over us, but as a rule, we have given them so much power that we never even challenge them, and they walk in and out of our emotional part as if we belong to them. Now, although they're difficult to observe directly after a time, in the work, you will always be able to detect their presence by being aware of the drop in level or a sudden loss of force if you are not quick enough. Eyes of this kind will get in and take possession of you, and it may take days to get rid of them. We have to learn to walk in ourselves very carefully. It is no use arguing with unpleasant eyes. That is why the practice of inner separation is so emphasized in the work. One moment of being asleep in some difficult situation will let in eyes of this kind. Next moment, you're in their power, and they will make you see everything and feel everything in their own particular way. If someone in the work at such a moment gives you a right shock, you suddenly see and feel everything quite differently and wonder what you're up to. This means that the eyes have changed and different eyes are now in charge of you. All our work lies in separating from wrong eyes. It begins first with the thoughts and then leads to the emotions. It means that a struggle begins in oneself between the different eyes, between being in wrong or in right eyes. The power of this work can give us the power of separating from wrong eyes. Life cannot give us this power because life encourages very many wrong eyes. This is why we are taught to observe ourselves in the light of the work. The work is a system of observation and comes from conscious humanity, that is, from those who have gone through this battle of eyes and attained their goal. When we're in a bad state of thinking and feeling, if we make no effort to recall better states, we are dragged down. And yet, we need not be dragged down. What drags us down is our choice. We have the power of choice internally, say, of thinking in one way or thinking in another way. Sometimes when we can do nothing with ourselves for the time being, we can at least retain the power of not completely consenting to our state, of not believing it entirely, and as it were, being impatient with ourselves and realizing we are all wrong, and yet not seeing how to get out of the state. Then you may be sure that you will, after a time, get into a better state again. But if you fully consent to your thoughts and feelings, if you say I to them in a total sense, then you will lay down in yourself something which will next time, it will be far more difficult to separate from because, so to speak, you have signed your name in full on the check. When you realize beyond any doubt that you have different eyes in you, when you can hear them speaking or notice them working in your emotions and yet remain separate from them, then you begin to understand the work on a practical side. You begin to understand the first line of the work, that is, on oneself.